Okay, we should be streaming.
Alrighty.
Looks like we're live. No one's joined yet.
Chris is the first one.
Oh, is he? Tim's there. Rob's there.
He's like chomping at the bit.
What he realizes he can't talk, right? We're not going to hear anything he says.
I'm sure he's got his typing fingers ready to go.
Yeah, but I've seen his typing fingers, and I'm not too worried that he's going to be able to get any words out in enough time. By the time he finishes spelling the word, we'll be way beyond what we were talking about.
Right.
Are you watching it live? Because I can hear it. Who's watching it live in the house?
Susan is. I'm in the other room with the door shut.
Tell her to turn the TV down because I can hear it in the background.
Okay. Can you turn it down a little bit? I guess he can hear it again. Alrighty.
Okay, Cody, mic check 1 2 3. Casey, mic check
1 2 3.
Okay.
No, we're good.
Thank you. Oh no, you're gonna have to shut that thing up. All right.
I don't have control over those damn dogs.
No, nobody does. It's dogs. Stupid. Dogs are stupid. Yeah, give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up a couple things and then we'll get started. And registrants. Okay. All right, people in the chat room, are you here? You hearing okay? Everything good in chat rooms? The chats are happenings. All right, you ready, Case?
Yeah.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, it is Monday night. We are live on YouTube. And when I say we, I say me and Casey. This is going to be the Cody and Casey show. Apparently, Matt and Jose, after the Mojave Trail, had enough of me and didn't want to be near me anymore and decided not to participate in tonight's show. And we had last week off because we were exhausted from the trip, and I didn't want to go another week. So I did like the major league move, and I tapped my fingers on my forearm and reached out to the bullpen and
give me the righty.
Give me the righty, and brought in the closer, the official closer. So Casey's going to be on the show tonight. What's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going, bro?
It's going, man.
I'm still exhausted too, though.
I was just going to say, man, I went from exhausted from the Mojave to wrecking my back this weekend playing with Presley, and now I just want a nap. All I want to do is take a nap. I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to. My truck's only halfway clean. I don't want to do anything else.
I finally washed my truck on Saturday morning before Zen's game.
Yeah,
but I didn't do the inside. I just did the outside.
Yeah. I did most of the outside. I did the outside and most of the inside. I just haven't wiped it down yet. And then I got a notice that the car detail dude is going to show up at our office this week. And I went, sweet. That just means I don't have to wash the truck. I'll let him finish it. So
we had the guy come and do Susan's Jeep, but I just do my truck myself. I don't pay somebody to do it, you know?
Yeah, me too. But I'm old and broken and don't feel like doing it anymore. So we already have a bunch of people in the chat room. Many of those people were on our Mojave trip, and the majority of tonight will be talking about that trip. It was a freaking fantastic trip.
It was awesome.
It was awesome.
Nobody died,
which, you know, in all honesty is surprising.
Couple of close calls.
Couple of close calls. Oops, don't want to show that because then people will call in. I'm trying to. They changed the layout. Google changes the layout on their shit every 3 months, and then it's a matter of trying to remember what button was what to make it do what. So let's start with Friday. Well, let's start with the people that were on the trip. So we'll talk about and individually.
Okay.
We'll talk about the people that came on the trip, and some more than others, only because with a group that large, I don't feel like I got to see everybody. I barely spoke to Jose. I think you and I had 5 minutes of conversation at each campsite, but it was big enough to where I didn't get to hang out with everybody as we normally would on this type of a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were super spread out, especially like at the campsites.
Yeah.
And on the trail.
And we talked about it a little bit on the campsites, and we'll talk probably in more detail. But with that many people, instead of having like just everybody in one group, it was kind of like these 5 people camped here, these 5 people camped here, these 5 people camped here. You know, we kind of like grouped up. It was a little bit weird.
Yeah.
So we had Adam Shanley in his 2020 Gladiator in Groot. Adam brought his wife and daughter, which was great because Presley and his daughter have hung out a couple times and they get along really well, and I think that made it a lot of fun for Press. We had Adrian in his 2020 Tacoma. That was the desert sand one. Alan in his 2020 Gladiator. That's a buddy of Adam's. His was really nice with a rooftop tent on it. We had Angie and Eric in their ginormous Ram Power Wagon and the Taj Mahal, the big trailer.
It's like the Mars rover.
It is. It's a Mars rover pulled behind a Dodge. We had see, Casey was there. Obviously, Chris, your buddy Chris, in his Chevy Duramax, which is interesting because I think he might be logged in tonight. Although he doesn't know how to use social media. The interesting thing is I've tried to explain to him that Chevy Silverado is not a viable platform for an off-road vehicle, and he pretty much proved it this weekend. So good for that.
Did he though?
Well, yeah, they put that def tank down at the bottom of that thing, and if we were doing anything gnarlier, we would have been towing him out of there. Speaking of towing, he didn't tow anybody. Corey has quickly become a fixture on our trips. He was on the winter expedition as well in his JL. We had Jose's boss in her Ford Ranger, and look,
nobody even knows her name. Her name's Jose's boss. It's so
funny. Like when Jose and Matt were going to be on, my boss was like, "Why don't you get Jose's boss to call in tonight?" And I was like, "No, I'm not going to do that to her." She showed up Friday night with a hat that said Jose's boss. And as we're sitting there at the campsite Friday night talking, and everybody is talking about her hat, and I think it was Corey that was like her, Jose's boss, and Corey and Eric and Angie and a couple of people were all sitting around talking, and I heard someone in the background go, "You're famous. Did you know that you're famous?" And she thought it was hilarious. We had Dave Frazier in his F-150, friend of Joey's. We have Rose. Rose came on last year's Mojave with us. Dave.
No, 2 years ago.
2 years ago. That's right. That's too right. Dave Linares and his really sweet Land Cruiser. I told Jose his Land Cruiser is out because David's is better. We're going to make that one part of the group.
Yeah.
Elam in in his Jeep Wrangler. He's always out with us. Joey D in Megatron, which, again, he's another one of those guys that's on every trip. Jose, we had Kevin Ultra 4 Jones in his F-250, and So Kevin, as we were driving into town Friday night, we came up. I saw Kevin as we were getting on the freeway. We had pulled off for a potty break or something, and we're getting on the freeway. As we're getting on the freeway, I see Kevin, and I punch it, and I pull up next to Kevin, and we're kind of waving and filming each other, whatever. And later, he had told me as I passed him, and he saw the gray Ford Ranger pass right behind me. He was like, "Oh, that's Jose's boss." Like he already knew that was Jose's boss following me.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Kevin more. We had Mark and Abby in Duty Driven, the giant F-250. We had
the White Whale.
The White Whale. We had Rich in his Land Rover Discovery 2. Rich brought his wife. Our buddy Rob in his JKU. Scott in the 4Runner. Scott's another one of those guys that's on all of our trips. Sergio.
Yeah, every trip.
Yep. Sergio and little Sergio, who joined us on the Winter Expedition and this trip. Shy is we need to come up with a new nickname for Shy, like Sleeper, because his 4Runner is like super, like you look at it driving down the street and you're like, oh, there's a 4Runner and it's got a little bit of stuff on the roof, and then he gets out there and he wheels and he keeps up with Joey D's Megatron, like and he does it so flawlessly, it is ridiculous. We had
he's like a ninja.
He is. He's like a ninja. We had Rich Spears, who's in his JKU, who works with Matt. We had Stefan in his Jeep Gladiator Mojave, roaming Mojave. We had your wife, and we had Tim Kilmer in what?
Oh, geez.
So
what started out as a Tacoma?
He did a good job. Well, Tim and I had a little bit of a text message back and forth before this, so you let me take the lead on the conversation about Tim and his Tacoma, please.
Okay.
The group. So we only lost one. This was amazing. Like, we had a couple people drop out a few weeks before the trip, but I thought, based on Winter Expedition, I thought we would get to 2 days before, 3 days before, and I'd start getting the text messages. I can't make it. I'm not going to make it. And we only had one. And this down
the night before. Usually it's the night before.
Yes, usually the night before. But on this one, it was Friday night. It was Friday, and I was almost at the campsite, and I got a message from Billy, and he's like, "Don't hate me, dude, but I gotta go." And he had been in Laughlin for 2 days. He's already there in a hotel room, and he got sick, and he's like, "I got to get home as soon as possible." So he bailed, and he's like, "I want my shirt and I want my swag bag." So Billy, I have your shirt, your swag. Well, I have your swag bag someplace. Your shirt is in the back of Jose's car. Whether or not it still exists, I don't know. So that was the group. It's a good mix of people we'd been wheeling with before a bunch of times, and new people. And a total of, I think it came out to be, let me see here.
And even some of the people we've been wheeling with before, like, brought someone with them that we didn't know.
Yeah. So I think we ended up with 65 people on this trip, 27 vehicles and 65 people. And it felt every bit of that.
Including kids?
Yes.
Including the kids,
because we had 12 kids, which was cool. It was way more kids than we've ever had on this trip, but
way more.
But I think it made it more fun for the kids. Like, once we got to campsite, the kids, Presley was gone. Like, she just ran around campsite, around everybody else's campsite, having a good time with everybody's kids. It was a blast for her. And I think it made the trip that much more enjoyable for her, as opposed to just 3 days in the desert,
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So Friday, you guys went into town Friday. What did you guys do Friday?
Well, we woke up, we were planning on leaving about 8:00 in the morning, and we woke up and we were on schedule to do that. And, Zen wasn't feeling very good. So we hung out for a little while. And we didn't leave till like 9:30. And, we pulled in about 1:15, I want to say, into the casino. 1:15, 1:30, we had a pretty good time. And checked in, hung out in the room for a bit, went grocery shopping, came back, and then we just went and played in the casino with Chris and Jen. And then You know, you were talking about Billy. When I got there, I knew he was already there, and I was like, "Oh, dude, this is gonna be awesome. We'll be there tomorrow." And so as soon as we were ready to come down and play, about 4:00, 5:00, he says, "Oh, I bailed. I'm out of there." I was like, "What? We just got here." So yeah, we did it early night. Actually, we unleashed my wife on the craps table, and she killed it. And so she's already itching to go back. So we're planning another Laughlin trip already. So
she knows it doesn't go that way the second time, right? She knows that
yeah,
like it doesn't work like that every time.
It was still a ton of fun, but we actually called it early night. I think we at like 11:30. The room at 11:30.
Okay. From our side, we were trying to get out of work at. I left work at like 11, trying to get out of here by 1:45. That didn't really happen. We had to go to Redlands to drop off the dogs, and it was a effing disaster. From Eastvale to Redlands was just a catastrophe on the freeway at 2:30. And Jose's boss was going to meet up with us like in Beaumont because she was leaving the office around 2:30, and Jose was coming out later. And same thing. She was like, "I am not moving. You guys can go if you want." We ended up connecting like, I don't know, on the Beaumont area or something. But taking that east route through Yucca Valley was, I gotta believe, was better than the 15 to the 40. Just as bad as the traffic was out that area, it had to be 10 times worse going north.
Well, at the time we left, man, I didn't hit not one single bit of traffic. It was 80 miles an hour the whole way there, and we made like 2 stops. We still made it in like 3.5 hours.
Yeah, it's a good time. It took us like 6 hours, honestly, 5.5, 6 hours to get there. It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal.
That's exactly why I took the day off.
Mm-hmm. And in hindsight, next year I'm taking the Friday and the Tuesday off, like Matt did. Matt did it. That was a pro move. I was wrecked on Tuesday.
Yeah, that was like the only mistake I made was going to work on Tuesday.
Oh, all right. And I'm still yawning. I'm still tired. So Friday night we got there. Yeah. Tammy and I got there with a bunch of people, camped at the trailhead. That was actually kind of cool to camp at the trailhead. I think next year if we do that again, we'll stay in town. Tammy was saying that third night, like by the time we got to Razor Road, she was pretty beat. Having that first night in the hotel with a shower and the whole deal would have made it easier to get through the next 2 nights. So I think that's what we'll do next time. We'll go in Friday.
And yeah, that was my idea exactly. It was like one less meal we got to cook, one less time we got to set up the tent.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll do that next time. It'll be a pro move, our pro move next time.
Plus craps.
Did you roll a hard 7? Do you remember the hard 7 when we took Brian and Chris to the Laughlin run?
Yes.
and they had never played craps before, and they were yeah. I woke up after eating my ice cream. I woke up in the bar because I had fallen asleep in a booth in the bar. I wake up and I could hear Chris and Brian yelling hard 7 and I'm like, oh shit, those are my guys. I got to go save them. And you guys were wasted. And then we went to.
That was a wild night.
That was a long time ago. We went to the Denny's afterwards, and I fell asleep in the booth again, and then had to ride our bikes home. So Saturday morning in the rain, and that's the night we lost you. And by the time I got back to the trailer, we didn't know where you were, and I was like, "Look, he's a grown man. He'll figure it out. I'm not getting up."
Well, was I?
You were what? In your 20s at that point. Right. So was I? The Saturday morning, woke up, did a little bit of breakfast, and this year we did a little bit different. So we handed out swag bags, and in the swag bags, you've seen some of our pictures. So we had custom shirts made for the trip, specific for the trip, custom stickers, Trailchaser stickers, and then each bag had stuff from every one of those vendors that we had talked about, from Nexen and Cali Raised and Shower Pouch and and Icon and all of them. It was here. I can even let me look at the what my sponsor list is. So Cali Raised, Ironman, Shalamich, Outer Limit, White Knuckle, All J, Icon, Baja, Forged, LGECTS, and Nexen. So they were between the shirts, the custom stickers, and the swag. It was well worth the $50 entry fee. Not even getting to the raffle yet. We'll talk about the raffle Saturday night, but I was very happy.
And a Nexen hat.
Yeah, as I'm saying, that was part of the you're right. That was part of the swag, was a Nexen hat. So you had the shirt, the custom stickers, a Nexen hat, and a bag full of swag, lanyards, and all kinds of stuff. It was a pain in the ass getting all those things put together, but I was really happy. I was really happy because one, it gave the sponsors an opportunity. Like, there was a lot of people on this run, and it gave a lot of exposure to those people, but it also made it worth the while for everybody that showed up. And I thought it was one of the better swag bags I've ever gotten or put out for these kinds of events. And then we had everybody sign waivers Saturday morning. I didn't make you sign one. I didn't sign one. Yeah, well, I ain't got shit. There's nothing to sue me for. The waivers, I had a couple people like, "What waivers?" And I was like, "Look, there's 65 people here. Some of them new, some of them old. This is a 3-day trip. Anything can go wrong." I just felt it was that time to put out the waivers. So everybody signed their waivers. They got their swag bags, their shirts, and all that stuff. And then we made off right as planned. And there's two. Hold on, sorry, I'm so tired. There's we'll call it the right route of the fork and the left route, and you're supposed to go on the right side. And for a couple years, we went on the left side and ended up at the dead end. So this year, I just planned to do it because when you get to that dead end, you go up and over all those hills, and that's one of the best parts of the trip. It's right there, 200 yards in. And we got there, and Jose's boss was right behind me. Never wheeled before. We had to show her how to air down. We get there, and I said, "Okay, here's what. I just put it in 4-wheel drive. This is what you're going to do. Follow me." And she charged that shit like a boss. I was so impressed with her.
This trip up to Chris and his wife for months now. What's it going to be like? What's the terrain? I said, it's a flat road. It's pretty much just flat the whole entire way. And then when we were getting ready to take off on Saturday morning, he asked me if he should be in 4 high or 4 low. And I says, I'm going to be in 2-wheel drive for most of the time. I'll probably never put it in 4 low. About 8 minutes later, hey, Chris, you're going to want to put it in 4 low. Because I put it in low and hit the easy button. It just, you know what I mean? It's there, use it, And then it starts doing this up and down. And I'm like, well, this is definitely not flat. I totally forgot about that spot because last year we didn't hit it.
We talked about this a little bit at camp one night. Because we had Eric and Angie with us, and they had the power wagon and the trailer, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But I was right after that. We stopped at Balancing Rock, and then I was like, "Oh shit! Why did I forget about all of this stuff?" Like in my mind, I'm picturing a flat service road for 200 miles, and I forgot about a lot of the terrain that was a little bit more technical. Yeah. And so we had on that one section, and that section goes for 10 minutes, a couple miles of like up over these ridges, back down into a deep valley, and then up and making a turn on your way out. It's technical,
right.
And Jose's boss, what?
Difficult. In a full size truck, we had a couple full sizes. That's what's gnarly. And it's not hard. It's just in those full size rigs. That's those are tight like pinch points.
It is. And so now imagine a power wagon pulling a 20-foot trailer behind. I mean, how what is that? A 15-foot trailer, 12-foot trailer at least. Pulling that trailer behind it, and he was doing it like a
God, at least.
And by the time we got out of that area, and then we ended up on the road to Balancing Rock, and it was washboardy and really bad. It was like I felt bad. I felt bad because I feel like when we had talked about it on the show and even the Saturday morning when we did our drivers meeting, I was like, I felt bad. I'm thinking, I hope people don't think that we misled them, that this was going to be too easy. And now I'm concerned. So we had a conversation about, because after Balancing Rock, the next stop was that mining site. And when you come off the main road off of Mojave and go down that side path to get to the balancing site, that's a narrow and twisty path.
Super narrow.
Yeah, and we talked to Eric and Angie, and I was like, I felt horrible, but I'm like, I didn't think about this. You're not going to be able to get that trailer back there. There's there's not without damage. And so they ended up going straight to the next campsite, to the next point of interest. And we all kind of booked it down to the mining site for lunch and to hang out. And I will say my wife was like, hey, are you bringing the canopy, the Easy Up? And I was like, we don't need the Easy Up. I'm not carrying it. It's too big. It's too heavy. We're not going to need it. It was 106 out there. It was balls hot out there. And every time we stopped, there was no shade. There was no relief from the sun. And Rich, one of the other guys, brought it Easy Up. And Tammy's looking at me every time he set it up. Like, I felt bad. I need to set up. I need to figure out some kind of awning setup on my truck.
We got to get some awnings, man.
Yeah.
We got to get awnings.
Bad. Because it was, it was, I mean, there was no relief. Like I had this one umbrella I brought, and I'm like walking around holding it over Tammy's head because I felt bad. It was pretty bad. And yes, Mark said that he offered to carry it. He did, but that would have meant Matt had to get his shit together and brought it out in the first place, and that didn't happen. But no, I told him not to do it. Never mind. So we did Balancing Rock, we did the mining site, and then back out to Mojave, and then
we were at that mining site for like an hour.
Yeah, we were there for a while. Like, cause that was our first, that was the first, lunch spot, it was and it's kind of, I felt good about this trip. So when we usually do this trip, we usually do Fort Paiute, and we do, certain things. Because of the size of the group, we split it up. I mean, not split it up, but we changed it up and didn't do some places and went to others. And I felt really, really good about that, because had we tried to do Fort Paiute, it would have been a disaster. This is a mining site most people don't know.
I think we could have done it based on how many people we didn't see on the trail.
Yeah, we may not have hit cross trail. Well, there was 3 vehicles coming out of Fort Paiute.
Yeah, but you don't know. I mean, we didn't know if there wasn't another group the same size there already.
Yeah,
we don't know.
Even if there was no cross traffic, it would have been difficult to get 30 vehicles up there. Someone would have had to park 2 miles back and hike.
Right.
So we did the mining site, then went to Rock Springs, which is this, every year you go to Rock Springs, there's no more water up there, but we hike up there every time to see if there's water. There's nothing but donkey poop. And then we went lots of donkey poop. And then we went to our campsite, which I'm actually not going to tell you where the campsite was, because it was awesome. It was we had been there before. One year we'd gone there and said, wow, this would be a cool campsite. And it did not disappoint. It was way big enough for 30 people, for 30 vehicles. It had a lot of wind breaks, and you could break the group up, and I was super happy. I was super happy with that campsite. What did you think?
I definitely liked it because it allowed us to spread out, like you said. Nobody was you didn't have to camp on top of the person next to you. I think I like it. I like that spot better than the first night we did last year.
Yeah.
Wherever that was.
Well, Tammy made the point that last year that campsite was way up kind of in the hills, and it was like 20 degrees colder that night than it was where we were camped at this time.
Yeah. You skipped right over the difficult section.
Oh, that's right. That was day one. So the difficult
section. Well, yeah, you have to go down it to Rock Springs.
So we got to what we call the difficult section. It's like this one washed out, rutted decline towards What Rock Springs, and we basically told everybody, all right, here's the deal: you have the option to go down or go around, and it was a good mix of half the group went down it. We had Joey. I put up a picture, a video on Instagram. I put up a couple of videos on Instagram, but Joey D went down it. Mark, Kevin, Dave, Alan, Adam, Matt, you, Susan, bunch of people went down it, and it was a really fun, challenging, rutted out. It really gets to test your suspension. There's pictures of it and videos of it up on Instagram. I don't know if it's still on my stories, but
well, we always called it the difficult section, even though it wasn't really difficult. But it's starting to become difficult.
Yes, it's getting more and more rutted out every year. And
it's way worse than it was last year.
Mm-hmm. We call it the difficult section because in like 2016 or so when we went, remember there was a group of people that time we went. You were with me. I think you rode with me that year.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of people.
That was when you ran over my foot.
Yes. Oh, that's right. That was Casey Ankle Highway. There was a bunch of people that like didn't want to do it, and it caused a thing because some people didn't want to do it, and we were like, dude, it's not a big deal. If someone doesn't want to do it, go around.
Well, we were trying to go up it too.
Yeah, well, I did. We did it in the WJ. We went up it. Yeah. We went down and then back up it to test it. So that was the difficult section was fun, and then anybody that didn't want to do it, we did a quick bypass around. And matter of fact, I think Tammy was driving at that point, and she did the bypass, and Casey was guiding everybody down that needed guidance. And the down or the difficult thing was the path you had to take on that difficult section was rutted out enough to where if you didn't have articulation or wheel or clearance, you were gonna grind. You were gonna rest your entire vehicle on your rocker panel, stretching your wheels from one hole to the next.
But most people did.
Yeah, and a lot of people did. But it was cool to see everybody go and give it a chance. And again, going back to Shy, like being this stealthy ninja, he just rolls up like. You were trying to give him spotting, and he was like down the hill before you were even telling him what to do.
He just flew right past me.
Yeah, he's like, was Casey standing in the trail?
Like everyone's like first gear on the brakes, listening to me. Perfect. Wheel placement and stuff. And by the time I could tell him to do something, he was already past that spot.
Yeah. So. Difficult section, Rock Springs, then campsite. When we got to campsite, so this is another thing we did this year, which I was really concerned about. Usually, even with 12 people, we find ourselves rolling into camp at 7:38 and sunset is at 7:45. Like I can't think of a year where we have been at campsite early enough to set up in the daylight. Can you?
Well, we did last year.
I guess, yeah. When we got to that first campsite, that first night, it still wasn't dark yet.
We had plenty of light.
So this year we got to camp. I want to say 5:00, and everybody got set up, got their tents set up. I had my Gazelle. Is this the first time? This is the first time I used it. This was the first time I used the Gazelle. No, yes, first time I've used it, and it was like a Gazelle convention. There were so many Gazelle tents on this trip. But it's everything it's advertised. You can stand up in it. It's very roomy. I got the T4. It's easy to set up. And then I have 3 cots for each of us. The only downside to that is when you put 3 cots in that tent, you have very little walking room. And I didn't think about this, but the feet on the cots rubbed a hole in the bottom of the tent already. So I think next time I got to put some pads or something underneath the feet of the cots, but not a huge issue. You guys had
we got another new tent.
I was going to say you have bought like $150 tent every time we've ever gone on every trip.
Well, it's a process. You
could literally have...
I told Susan, the one we had on the Parker trip, the one I tried to return, they wouldn't return it. I told Susan, I was like, I'm not setting that tent up. I'll sleep on the ground. I'm not doing it. I said, we need to get this tent. It's exactly the same concept as Matt's tent, just bigger. But I didn't bring the biggest tent, and I made sure that everyone knew that.
No, wasn't it David? Didn't Dave have the biggest tent, like with the annex and the entry room?
And then it broke.
Yes. Yeah. Dave and his wife and his two girls had a tent that it had a zip code. Like there was a mailbox out front, and it came with a white picket fence. It was bigger than even Casey's tent.
Was it? I thought it would fit in my tent.
Your last one, yes, maybe.
Yeah. But ours was like the same way. Like we set up through 3 cots, and there's really not much room, maybe a few inches or so in between each cot, but do you want, I've taken a gigantic tent on that trip, where we've had tons of room, but it took me 2 hours to set up camp.
Yeah. And it's not worth the 400 pounds in the back of your truck on that entire trip. Same reason I didn't want to bring the Easy Up.
Right. I'd rather give up some of that room for a quick setup, lighter, smaller. If we go somewhere and we're going to have like a base camp, like the trip or something, we'll probably bring the big tent again. But for, setup, tear down, so on and so forth, I was like, we have to get an easier tent for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I think everybody had a good setup Saturday night. And then we did the raffle. So we had a crap ton of raffle. I mean, I want to say we had 35 items when it was all said and done, maybe 40 because we'd split up some things. We started off with some Ultra 4 Jones, Kevin Jones, connected with the guys over at Slow Stills, and they brought some. Was that whiskey? Was it? It looked like dirty water whiskey.
And, it was whiskey, and then the kids won it.
Yeah, that was so, dude. I was so proud of Matt. Let me tell you something. So Shy's daughter was there, and we were doing the raffle, and one of the first things we did was the whiskey. And the whiskey, and Shy is like, yeah, and he hands the thing to his daughter, and Matt was like, no, I'm not giving her the whiskey. And I was all, thank you, Matt. That was the most responsible thing I think I've ever seen Matt do as a parent.
Right.
Is realize that he can't. Because we had set it up so that Jose was taking pictures with the winners. And I'm like, yes, let's have a 14-year-old teenager show up with Matt, take a picture with the whiskey with our logo all over it, all over his shirt. That can't be good for anybody. Like, I don't care what kind of waiver people signed at the beginning of this trip. That probably trumps any of the legal issues we're going to have later in the day.
You'd be doing the show right now with an orange jumpsuit.
Yeah, exactly. I would exactly. So Matt was like, "No, I'm not giving it to her," and Shy had to come up and get it. And same thing with Rob. So Rob Flores won another thing of whiskey, and the picture on Instagram, I cropped out his kids because I was like, for legal reasons, I don't want any pictures of anyone under 21 years old holding a picture of their whiskey. But that was super cool of Slow Stills to do that, and for Kevin to bring that. And then Kevin also brought the 2 certificates for Morphlate from Snail Trail.
You mean the cardboard?
So the best part about that is Kevin was like, man, he's like, look in there. There's a couple gift certificates in there, and we look in there, and I'm like, all there is scrap cardboard. He's like, yeah, I forgot to print those out. So in the parking lot, he cut off a piece of cardboard and wrote in Sharpie, this is a certificate for Morphlate from Snail Trail. Call me Kevin. Like that's what literally would
good for one back rub.
Yes, totally. It was like the worst Father's Day present ever. It was like I'm like, I wonder if the people that won those are still trying to get a hold of Kevin and he hasn't returned their calls for a week and a half.
Hopefully they didn't accidentally start the fire with that.
With the cardboard. Like that. But that was cool of the Snail Trail guys to kick those down as part of that raffle. So hopefully Kevin's Sharpie, he didn't write it in fading ink, and like by the time they got home, it's off the cardboard. Yeah, disappearing ink. We did a bunch of stuff from Icon. We did, we had a couple pint glasses, a couple thermal jugs, shirts. We had an AO cooler from Icon.
It was a nice cooler.
It was a really nice cooler. All J, your shop, kicked down a bunch. It was like 4 bags of Jose's boss won a easy deflate gauge
perfect
from Rock Jock that was donated by All J Products. There was another bag that had recovery gloves and an easy deflate, a couple shirts. There was about 4 or 5 bags.
Valve.
Hold on, lost you. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Say that again.
Yeah, it had the Colby valves in it.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah. So yeah, we got.
I think Rob won those too.
Yeah. You know what's interesting is we had more raffle items this time than we've ever had. I want to say, like I said, by the time we broke out all the shower pouches, because we gave two shower pouches and a hand sanitizer to everybody that as a raffle item. All the things from Icon, all the stuff, like we had, I want to say 35 gifts, 35 raffle items, and we pared it down to 3 tickets per registered participant. And I still feel like Shy, for example, won 3 things. Like, how is that possible?
Yeah.
And poor Billy, there weren't very many extra tickets. So I think had Billy been there, he would have won a lot. He would have gotten a bunch of stuff. Let's see, what else did we raffle? We put some pictures up recently on Instagram. We did Outer Limit Supply gave a bleed kit for that. I mean, Travis knows us well enough to know that someone in our group needs to have a bleed kit, and Elam won that, so he's usually around. I'm glad that he'll have that. We raffled off the coupe.
I have a bleed kit. It's a roll of black tape.
I'm gonna trust that 1, Elam's kit is better, and 2, Elam is going to be more prepared to use it. Let's see what else we gave away. I already said shower pouch. We gave away a bunch of swag from Cali Rays, from Baja Forge. We gave T-shirts away from Baja Forge. And then the 3 big items that we gave away was the Ironman compressor. Was a really, really nice. 3. Yeah, the 3 big ones was the Ironman compressor, which was a really nice compressor. I think that went to. I'm looking at the picture, and forgive me for not remembering. I think that is Adrian's passenger. And then the next one was the $800 Boxo tool set. Did you look at that tool set?
Oh God.
Dude.
Oh yeah.
Seriously. I don't know if I mentioned it the other day, but
you said, it almost didn't make it in the raffle.
Yeah. When Matt picked it up, he's like, holy shit, you got to see this thing. And when he brought it to the house so we could get everything ready, I had to text Sarah at Baja Forge. And I was like, are you kidding me with this? Are you serious right now? I cannot believe they donated. This thing is amazing. So it's literally like an $800 tool set from Boxo, BOXO. And it came with the tool bag and the tool roll. It is literally, you could throw this kit in your truck and it be 100% dialed in for any off-road adventure and not have to worry about anything. It was amazing.
Pretty well set up.
And so we do the raffle, and who wins it? Kevin Jones. Kevin Jones building a race car. He wins the tools, and he sends up Mallory, his better half, to get it. And, I mean, it couldn't have gone to a better place. He's going to use them, right? He's going to use the crap out of those things. Oh, yeah.
He's probably going to take that whole kit and just strap it to the new race car.
He could. He absolutely could. I mean, that could definitely be a race rig setup with the amount of stuff that was in it. And just super, super gracious for and very grateful to Sarah and Teresa and the LGE CTS family for donating those, the Baja Forged LGE CTS family. That was super cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And then we got to the grand prize, and dude, I swear, what's funny is as we were doing all the raffles, and I'm kind of keeping a mental tally, like I'm seeing who's winning all the smaller stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, all of those people now have less of a chance to win the tires. Yeah. And
I was nervous.
I was too. I was really worried, because part of me was like, when you looked at the people on that trip, 50% of the people had Nexen tires already. a good number of I see you're counting. Okay.
I think only 6.
No. Well, me, you, Susan, Matt, Jose, Adam, Sergio.
Does Sergio have Nexens? He does.
I think so.
Oh, and Kevin.
Kevin. So there's 8 right there. So let's say 9, 10 of the people.
So 8.
Yeah. So a good number of people already had Nexens, and I was like
a third. About a third.
And I was like, I hope somebody new wins them, right? So they can experience it as well. We'll talk about why in a little bit. Yeah, see, Sergio says yes, he's got Nexens. And literally, Rob, there you go. Rob was the other one. Rob,
yeah. And so like 10.
Yeah, so like 10 of the vehicles, so at least a third of the vehicles. So sitting right next to the table, front row, was Mark and Abby, duty driven, and they hadn't won a dag-blurn thing. They hadn't won anything yet. And so like we pull the ticket, and Mark at that point, Mark was so nervous, he got up and walked away. He's like, I can't even be part of this. He's like, he was like, you could anxiety. But
you pulled another ticket first.
Yes, we pulled a ticket first, and
nobody claimed it.
So Billy would have won. Billy would have won a set of Nexen tires, I think, had he shown up. So then we pulled this. So that was like suspenseful. We pull the second one, we call it off, and Mark is now standing behind the group off to the left, and he starts screaming because he just won a set of tires. And
in a sailor's hat.
He's wearing a sailor's hat because we keep giving him
wearing a sailor's hat.
You can see the picture on our Instagram page. It's Mark, Matt, and I taking a picture together with the certificate. Mark's wearing his sailor's hat because we'd been giving him so much shit about the giant boat that he drives out there. He thought he was just gonna play into it. And they had literally like captain's hats on. And dude, I could not be happier about someone winning these tires. I was
stoked.
He's always on our trips. He is one of our favorite people. Like, he's always there. He's like, him and Abby are fixtures on these trips, and for him to be able to get those tires is going to be amazing.
Yeah, he was one of the most, if not the most deserving person, I think, that could have won those tires.
Yeah. He and they are going to go.
He's definitely going to use them.
He's going to use the shit out of them. We'll talk. Well, I mean, it depends on how much more time,
because his tires were bald.
It depends on how much more time he spends in the air in the Super Duty, on how much use he'll get out of those Nexens.
I guess he needs more Back to Future tires.
Yes,
really,
he does.
The ones that turn and then you just float.
Yeah, and Tim makes the point that Abby and Mark even brought popcorn and no one ate it, and that is because we had the bright idea to do movie night, which seemed fantastic.
They didn't make it. Did they make it?
No, they brought it. They had pre-popped, and then they had a bunch of like Jiffy Pops, and so they brought it. And the plan was to do a movie night. And Jose's boss had a projector and an inflatable screen, and I had my laptops, and I had movies ready to go, everything dialed in. You know what? I was too damn tired. By the time we got to camp, both nights, the last thing in the world I wanted to do was set up my computer on a table and try to do movie night. Not doing it, we're not doing that ever. It was hot as balls out there, and I was exhausted, and I just didn't want to do it. So we told the kids
the first day wasn't so bad. It wasn't as hot. The second day was the hottest.
Yeah, but still, I mean, it was still warm enough to where I was exhausted from the day. We told the kids that the computer broke and we couldn't watch a movie. Adam said that his ladies were waiting for popcorn. That's just one more set of ladies I'm disappointing. It's not new to me. I'm used to it.
Mark, I will eat double the amount of popcorn on the next trip.
Yes,
to make up for
it. We could have done the popcorn without the movie. Next time we'll do popcorn without the movie. I just don't want to do the movie. As much of a good idea as it sounded at the time, having to actually execute, I was not having it. I did not want any part of it. So Mark, I think Mark is going to be getting a set of 37s to put on that.
Is he going to pull the trigger in 37s?
I don't know what he's going to do. I think he'll have to.
I talked to him. I talked to him on, I think, Sunday evening, and he was unsure.
Yeah, because it's still his daily
35s or 37s.
It's still his daily. You know what I mean? He still drives it to work and back. It's still the family vehicle, if you will. So that was, it's great. The raffle went great. I think a huge chunk of people got something. Everybody got something with the swag bags.
Lagging.
You're good. Can you still hear me? Yeah, you should have drove down here. This sucks. I don't like the remote recording, but everybody got something with the swag bag, and then I think at least 50% of the people on the trip got something from the raffle. I feel like it was a good opportunity for everybody to get stuff, and that goes back to the sponsors that participated and gave us all that stuff to be able to do that kind of a raffle. And it was it's like it was, again, it's humbling that these companies want to participate in our community, and we're really appreciative. And then Saturday night was just a bunch of making some dinner and hanging out. Anything else Saturday night that you can think of?
No, it was pretty much standard procedure. Everyone kind of set up camp, hung out a little bit, got dinner going, and then after dinner, people started gathering around the fire, and then you start watching them fall off one by one, going to bed. I was only up really I think we were up to like 1 on the first night.
Ooh. No, I was up till 9. I did not.
Were you up you were up? I think everyone was up for the freaking alien invasion that we saw.
Yes. So
Saturday night. That's awesome.
Mark just put it in the chat room. So yeah, we're all around the campfire. It happened both nights. We're all around the campfire, and everybody starts freaking out and pointing up to the sky. And even without my glasses on, I could see there was about a dozen satellites lined up in a row.
Oh, at least 2 dozen.
Was it that many?
It was on forever.
And
God, yeah.
So apparently,
I don't know. I was kind of drunk, so it could have been 6 of them. I don't know.
It was only 12. You saw 24. That's all. That's true. Yeah. So it was apparently it's the Skylink, not Skynet, not Terminator Skynet, but Skylink, Elon Musk, Skylink satellites that are like orbiting the Earth, and it was the craziest thing. I've never seen them before, and they're all lined up, and they're just like, it looked like a train, like a choo-choo train of stars just going across the sky, and it was super cool.
It was not satellites. That was a Starfleet.
It was a Starfleet. It looked very much like a Starfleet, and but it did. It was crazy. Everybody was pointing at it and checking it out, and everybody was trying to look it up and find out what it was. But that was super cool.
Yeah. That was probably the most eventful portion of the evening.
Yeah, we didn't have anything crazy. Even with the Outer Limits Supply provided first aid kits that came out, that it didn't get as crazy as I expected it to. And I think that's probably because we had so many kids, and it was a little bit more mellow trip this year. But so Saturday night was great. Woke up Sunday, breakfast, camp, packed up, went to the Hanta House. And for those of you that don't know what the Hanta House is, it's not haunted house, but Hanta, Hanta, because the first time we were there, like 2-3 years ago, when we went in, it was rat poop for 3 inches thick all over the place. And
well, there was even a sign out front that said like beware of
right.
hantavirus or hantavirus warning or something like that.
That's right. So it was cool. We explored that area more than we ever have. The last time we just kind of checked out the house, but this time we all kind of went to the different. They had different structures, different houses, and they had a couple different mining pieces of mining equipment and a couple like mining holes that you could go look at.
Big ass holes.
Yeah, big ass holes. And the kids really dug it. It was cool. We spent a good half hour, 45 minutes there just checking it out.
Not big assholes, big assholes.
Well, there was a couple big assholes on this trip too.
That's true, I guess.
You know who you are. So then this was the part. So this was a different route than we've done in the past. We talked about it a couple weeks ago. And rather than cutting straight across Kelsosima and going through the whoop section, we went north and went across the road. And there is on Google Maps, there's a place called the Kelso store. And we got to a place that has a sign in front of it that says Kelso store. And it's hard to see, like, it looked like a house? Is there a storefront? I don't know.
There's several structures.
There's a bunch of buildings. There's a bunch of buildings. We got 27 rigs rolled in, and I was all on the radio. Casey, drive back there past the gate and find out if that's where we're supposed to go. Tell me what happened.
Oh, you said, "Hey, Matt, go back there and find out." And Matt didn't do it. And then you asked one or two other people, and then you asked me, "Casey will do it." And I said, well, I guess I have to do it now. So I just cruise real slow back in there, and they're doing, I don't know what they were doing, but there's this dog running around.
Yeah, chickens and dogs running around everywhere.
Yeah. And there was a sign that said, slow, watch out for chickens. So I did that. And I see this lady, and so I pull up, and she looks at me kind of funny, and I'm like, yeah, is the store open? She's like, no, the store's not open. And I was like, oh, all right. It says that there's a store here. And then this dude came over, and he was pissed. He like threw his hands up like, what the fuck are you doing here? I'm like, sorry, man. It says there's a store outside. And I just slowly backed out and rolled my window up, and he just sat there like mad dogging me like, dude, I just rolled up with like 65 people.
Yeah.
We need a store.
It was the SEMA store. Thank you, Tim, not the Kelso store. SEMA store. And it literally says SEMA store on Google. And when you pull up, there's a sign in front of it that says SEMA store. Why would they be upset if someone thought there was a store there? Like, take down the sign.
Jose's boss even said, according to Google, it says they're open right now.
Yeah, it does. It does. I'm looking at it it's on Kelsosima Road. It's the SEMA store. And like I said, you pull up the street view, you can find it. And there's a sign out front. Let me see if it's on street view. There's a sign out front. Yep, there it is. There's a sign out front that says SEMA store. And we rolled up, and they were not happy with us, which sucks because we all needed ice.
They were not happy, and it was definitely not a store.
Casey backed out.
Unless you needed chickens.
If you needed chickens or dogs, they had what you needed. But yeah, again, take down the sign that says SEMA store. I don't understand. Mm-hmm. They probably don't realize it's on Google. I got a feeling that those people don't Google much.
What the hell is a Google?
What the hell is a Google? So then so this part here, instead of going through the whoops, we went up and found Powerline Road. And we were a little bit concerned when we were planning this out about, is it going to be boring? It's going to be. I tell you what, that's my favorite part of the trip now.
Because, I love that route.
Because
even from the haunted house to the store, even that section, crossing the railroad tracks and stuff, I like that section a lot too.
Yeah, that was fun.
Man, from the store on Powerline Road, that was
because it's
we are never going another way.
Oh, absolutely not. That's my favorite part now. Once you turn off the road, because we're on the road for like 2 miles, 3 miles, and then you back on the dirt, and once you turn onto Powerline Road, it is a straight shot for 15 miles, and it runs right underneath the power lines, and even though it's straight, it's got a lot of variant in like, I don't want to say altitude, but like it dips and then goes up and then dips and then goes up. And I was in the front, and I was doing 75 miles an hour, and I was catching some air at each one of these. It was like if there was like a small group, we could have said, okay, give me a 15-minute head start and taken off, and you could have bombed that thing at 70 miles an hour, caught air, and there's a smooth landing on the other side of each one of those bumps, and it was so much fun. And I was very, very glad that I was in the front of the pack and not in the back and stuck behind someone where I couldn't really open it up.
Yeah, we started to spread out some. Like everyone was kind of letting the person in front of them get a little bit. I was behind Chris.
Oh, that must have sucked.
I could see him. I could see that gigantic truck pretty good.
Yeah, that must have sucked for you. I bet he was holding you up the whole time.
He was moving a lot quicker than you might have thought. And because of the dust, I was about going as fast as I could for how well I could see, you know. We were moving okay. We were keeping up, you know. It's not, I mean, it's like you said, it's a straight shot pretty much, but it's not boring. Like, you have to pay attention because there's some gnarly dips and bumps and stuff, like you said, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
I definitely love that way more than the whoops.
Yes, for sure. That was so much fun. It was 5 times faster and so much fun. So that is our route from now on. And then from there we went right to the mailbox, right?
Yeah, we skipped Marl Springs, and as far as I'm concerned, unless you can guarantee me that we're going to see some more bighorn sheep there, keep driving.
Yeah, well, we talked about that. The whole reason for Marl Springs, there's really nothing there. But after all of the whoops, that was like the next stopping point. So that's primarily why we stop there every year, is because when we come across,
and because it was lunchtime.
Yeah, you just spent an hour going 15 miles an hour on whoops, and you needed a break. But because we got there so fast, I didn't feel like we needed a break, and we just went straight to the Mojave mailbox. And surprisingly, there was nobody there. There was nobody. There's always traffic at the mailbox, and there was nobody there this year.
We didn't see really anybody until we got to the tubes.
Yeah, I want to go back to camp. So Saturday morning, Eric came over and told me that they weren't going to go the rest of the way. His back was bothering him. He had been in a camp in a car accident, and his back was bothering him from sleeping and stuff. So they ended up cutting out early. So they didn't go down this section. And Eric, I want to tell you that I wrecked my back on this Saturday, and it's killing me right now. So I know how you're feeling, and I hope you're feeling better. We're bummed that you didn't get to finish the trip with us, but I hope you feel better. That's just made me remember that. Stopped at the Mojave mailbox, and then from there went to the lava tubes. Again, that was another fun, fast run. I feel like day 2
it was a little bit more windy and whatnot from there, I think, right?
Yeah, but still, I feel like day 2 was much quicker pace than day 1. Like, if we looked at, I'm sure somebody tracked it, and if we looked at our average speed between the 2 days, I feel like day 2 was a lot faster. So we did the lava tubes. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar, so the lava tubes, we were there for it seemed like forever, an hour and a half. By the time everybody,
I would say at least an hour and a half,
because
at least
that was the lunch spot, and everybody kind of broke it up, and some people went up to the tubes first and then had lunch, or vice versa. But it was, with 26 vehicles at that point, it took a while for everybody to get up there, check it out, have lunch, and then from the lava tubes to Travelers Monument is the Kessel Run. That's the area we call the Kessel Run. That is the very fast, very quick, very, very fun area. So what we did...
Let me just say this too. I love the lava tubes, but that road from the Kessel Run area to the tubes sucks balls. I hate that road.
The washboard one?
Oh my God, I hate that road.
You know what? If you get up and do 60, 50, it's a lot better.
Yeah.
But a lot of times you can't.
No.
So from the lava tubes, we head towards Travelers Monument, and there's an area where we get down to from the road that goes to the lava tubes back down to the main Mojave Trail. And I stopped there, and we had a conversation, and we got on the radio and said, look, this is the Kessel Run section. There is going to be a group of people that want to go fast, and a group of people that want to go less fast. And so we basically said anybody that wants to go fast, and if you stayed in a group, there's enough room and parallel paths for everybody to do their own thing. But we just thought it made sense with that many vehicles to kind of break it up a little bit and give some space so that nobody ran into each other. So Matt and Casey took off with the fast group, and I stayed back with the less fast group, and Tammy was actually driving at that point. So Tammy was leading the less fast group. And so tell me, and the part of the reason we're going to have this conversation this way is because, well, no, we haven't split up yet. So we leave that area, and then we always stop and regroup before we cross over Kelbaker Road. So by the time I get to Kelbaker Road, they're on the radio, and the fast group is already there waiting for us. The less fast group shows up, and Mark, Mark is in the chat room saying that Cody got passed by a Super Duty. Cody was not driving. Cody was not driving, and I would not have allowed that. I would have ran my truck through the wall to make sure that you didn't get out in front of me. That was Tammy driving. So when we got to Kelbaker Road, they're like, "Hey, we got a truck down," and come to find out, there was two Land Cruisers, Jose and Dave. Dave, they were this year. I don't remember it like this before, but Case, do you remember like? There were a lot of rocks that were like alligators, like sitting off to the side, getting ready to bite you. And maybe I've never noticed it as much because I've always been in the front of and it doesn't, like, I'll get on the radio, hey, rock on the right. But
yeah.
But with a group that's 2 miles long, you don't know what I'm talking about in the back end when I say, rock on the right. You're too.
Well, not only that, but if you're in the front, you have a much clearer view.
Yeah.
So they're not a surprise. As soon as you're a car, 2 cars, 6, 7 cars back, you're driving through dust. And so those things just pop up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
You have to be super focused on what you're doing.
Yeah.
At that speed.
There were a couple. So yeah, especially at that speed, there were a couple rocks that were sticking out, waiting to grab a set of tires. And that's exactly what happened. Dave, I can picture the rock. Dave came around the corner, and there was a rock that caught both the front and rear tire on the right side of his Land Cruiser and clipped both tires. And so now he's got 2 flats. As you know, most vehicles only have 1 spare tire. So we ended up taking the spare tire off of his Land Cruiser and putting it on the front or what have you. Yeah, it was the front. And then we took the spare tire off of Jose's Land Cruiser and put it on the back because they both happen to be 35s. How freaking lucky was that? What would we have done?
No. His spare was not a full size spare. It was like the factory size spare. It was a 31.
Oh no!
And I told him, I said, "Hey, is this all wheel drive?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You can't do that, man. You will smoke your diff."
Yeah.
I know from experience from my Grand Cherokee, you cannot put a different size tire on there. You'll blow that thing up, and then you'll never make it to camp. So we ended up pounding one of the rims back into shape because it didn't pop the tire. All it did is it bent the rim, and then it popped the bead. So once we got it hammered back into place, we were able to put enough air to it. Mark, with his badass compressor setup, put enough air to it to get that bead to pop again, and then put his back on the front. And then the plan was to fix the other one. He did run Jose's tire, and then the plan was to fix the other tire back at camp because that one was more mangled.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense because you guys, I didn't go. I was still with the group by the street, by the road, and I'm thinking, God, we got Casey and Kevin back there. This should be done. Swapping out 2 tires should be done in 4 minutes, like a NASCAR pit stop. And I was surprised at how long it took. I didn't realize you actually see. This is what we're talking about with 65 people. You and I didn't even have that conversation. We weren't even there.
No, by the time I got there, they already had the rear one changed out, and then they were just finishing up the front tire. And then I told them. And so then they had to redo it all over again.
Okay.
So they had to get the jack back out, jack it back up, take it off, all that stuff. So that's why it took so long too.
Yep. All right. So that's 2 tires from Lava Tube to Kelbaker. So at Kelbaker, we do the same thing. We go, all right, everybody's back. We're regrouping. Group 1, fast group, take off. And group 2, we'll meet you at Traveler's Monument. So Tammy's driving, and you guys at group 1 take off. And
oh man, did we take off?
Oh, I know. I could, like, when so the way at that crossing at Kelbaker, once you cross Kelbaker, there's this like hill range, and you go right, and then you come around the corner. And then once you come around the corner of that hill, you can see for a long ways. You can see kind of what's going on. And so once we came around that corner, I could see your guys' cloud of dust already 3 miles ahead of us. It was, you guys were so gone. Like, I don't even know. How fast were you going on that section?
I would say I held pretty steady, like at 50. A couple times I was like up there closer to 60. But it was like, oh shit, I better back off. Like, that was the hardest I have ever pushed that truck.
Yeah.
And I jumped it twice.
And that's with the crappy suspension you have right now that we still got to get fixed.
Yeah, actually, I kind of jerry-rigged some rear shocks because my shocks were dead. The one broke, the other one was dead. So I found some old Bilsteins, probably off like a TJ or something like that. And I jerry-rigged them to fit in there because I was like, there's no way I could do this trail with these dead shocks, and the new stuff isn't ready. I got to have something back there, at least doing something. So and it actually drove better than it did with the shocks that are supposed to be on it. You know, but I pushed that thing hard.
So you guys took off, and so Tammy's driving. And we're going same kind of scenario. This is sandy. You're in a wash, and in some section there's like ruts where you can only get your tires in, but it is fun, and you can go 60 miles an hour. So at one point, and then right before Traveler's Monument, maybe 3-4 miles before Traveler's Monument, it kind of opens up to a really wide wash. So we're going, and Tammy is driving, and she's doing about 40, 45 miles an hour. And she says, is this a good pace? And I said, if it's a good pace for you, it's a good pace. I had already told everybody on the radio, hey, take your own pace. We're all going to, you can't just follow the dust. We're all going to meet in the same spot. And we get through the tight wash stuff with the rocks that are sticking out. And we get into the open area, and we're moving pretty good. And Jose's boss comes on the radio, and she says, I'm hearing a knocking in the back. I'm going to pull over and check it out. And I said, is it in the bed? And she says, I don't know. I need to check. So Tammy stops. I could see her pretty far behind in the mirror. And Mark, I think it was Mark that got on the radio, and he's like, Cody, we have a problem. And so Tammy turns around, and we roll up to her literally 3-week-old Ford Ranger, brand new Ford Ranger. And it looks like she rolled over an IED in some far off land, and her right rear tire was grenaded. It wasn't punctured. It wasn't blown. It was absolutely grenaded. And Jose's boss is
shredded to bits.
Jose's boss is just now chiming in the chat room. So this thing is it again. It had been shredded for a while because the rim was gone. Like, there was no bead left.
Oh, yeah.
There was holes in the center of the rim where the tire is supposed to be. She wrecked it. And she
must have drove for miles on that freaking thing. It didn't even look like a rim and tire.
The crazy thing is there was no squirrels in sight. I didn't see any desert squirrels anywhere, although there was a comment on Instagram. You can see the pictures of this on Instagram. And the first thing I did is I looked at her and it said, you heard a noise? That's your response to this? What the hell happened? So you guys in group 1 are bominosed. You're gone. And the rest of us in group 2, so Chris, Mark, Corey, myself, like all of us were like, okay, we got to get this thing changed out. And we had the sand. She was in sand, like a rutted sand, to where her tire, what was left of the tire, was in a trench, and the center of the vehicle was basically sitting on a hump of sand. So you couldn't get a jack under there. So we decided to get the high lift and jack it up to get another jack under there. And that, dude, high lifts, I'm going to die one day using a high lift. And literally, if Mark had been under the truck while I was working the high lift, he would have died too. It was horrible. We ended up having to get, I have those hooks that are supposed to go on your tire, like your wheel, so you can hook it up.
Yeah.
I put that on the trailer hitch, and jacked it up enough, and I'm literally standing there holding it to make sure it doesn't slip out of place. And I even have the big footing pad to put down, and Mark got under there and got a jack underneath it just enough to where we could dig out some more sand and get the tire off and put the spare. It was a full-size spare, and I say full-size, it's the Bridgestone all-season tires that it came with. And she said that she remembers it. She knew what happened when she came around one of those corners. One of those alligator rocks just jumped out and bit her, and she said it kind of bounced her up in the air. And I think,
and then she just kept driving.
She just kept going until she heard a noise. I think
if I don't look at it, it didn't happen.
Yeah, so I was like, "Did you not see it in the side view mirror?" And she says, "No, it did. It felt the same." If she had like a good all-terrain, I don't think it would have happened. I think that those all-season tires or maybe she would have popped it, but it wouldn't have shredded. I mean, that thing, again, look at the pictures on Instagram. That thing was decimated. And
so those are like what, 31s?
Yeah, they're 30.8. We checked, they're a 255, 65, I think, or something like that.
All right, what, 18 or 17?
17.
Okay, so it's like a 31 on a 17-inch rim.
Yeah.
And what was she aired down to?
I think, I don't know. You guys, Jose did it. You didn't do it. I want to say 22.
Don't put me in there.
22 or so. It was, not super low, but there's literally nothing left of that tire or wheel. And as it spun around with all the carcass, it hit the mud, like the inner mud well and the fender flare and all kinds of stuff. So I
told her to take the truck back to the dealer and be like, "Look, I don't know what you guys sold me, but this thing is garbage."
Well, and so let's talk about that. Like, again, so think back to 2016, maybe, when Matt had the Renegade for 3 weeks and brought it out there, and
that was 16.
Yeah, no car payment yet, and bombed it like a boss. Jose's boss here she jumped on it and was gone. Like, so impressed with her. Even Kevin Jones was like, "Dude, she's a charger. Like, she's going after it." Mm-hmm. And so she knew that there was a possibility this was going to happen, and she took it like a champ. I think most people would have been way more bummed. Maybe she is more bummed. She just didn't want to make me feel bad. But
right.
We got it put back together and took it to camp. And she, that was. Oh, and while we're doing that, I don't know what you guys were doing in Group 1. Like, what happened? Because you guys went to Traveler's Monument, and we didn't see you for the remainder of the day until we got back to camp.
No, we stopped quite a ways before Traveler's Monument. I was back a little ways, and then I passed. I had Susan behind me, and I passed a couple of people, and then I got a little bit of clean air, and that's when I started cooking, and but they were still so far ahead of me. Like, I could see their dust way up ahead of me, and it started to clear out a little bit, and I could see them. They were parked. It was like Matt and Kevin and Joey and stuff were all parked. So I pulled up to there, and Johnny was running around with the radio going, "I think somebody popped the tire." And I'm like, "Okay, Johnny, find out what's going on," and we couldn't really get like a good answer because it was like the radios weren't working very good.
Yeah, we were just at the distance where I could get something, but not enough. And
right, exactly.
Shai had the most powerful radio, and I could kind of hear him, but I couldn't tell if he could hear me. And it was like, I heard
Shai rolled up.
I heard you guys talking about going to the tree line or something, and I'm like, "What tree line? What the hell are you guys talking about?"
Well, that was way before we were stopped. We weren't even to Traveler's Monument. We were still probably a few miles away. Just stopped. And then it was like, okay, well, let's get to Traveler's Monument because that's where they're headed to once they get it fixed. Because we didn't think you guys were going to be, I don't think, taking so long or whatever.
We didn't think so either. But Jose's boss, what am I going to do?
Yeah. And then, well, no, I mean, we didn't think you were going to take that long, like getting it fixed and stuff,
No, we didn't. I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I think it took a lot longer to swap that tire out than it really should have, and I blame the high lift. And Perry makes the comment here in the chat room that said everyone should own a high lift once to understand why they shouldn't own a high lift. I'm like, I agree. I'm at the point now where I'm like, I don't even know that I want to bring it with me, just because like
I have one. I don't bring it because I figure there's going to be 6 of them there.
Yeah, same. And it's. And Jose's boss is asking, she said that she should have been more sad, and maybe Mark would have given her his prize, his nexentire prize from the night before.
No way.
And he said, no way, not a chance. But yeah, it took a little bit longer to get that thing swapped out than I really wanted it to. Part of that is the way the Ranger is not much different than the Tacoma or some of the other mid-sized trucks, is the spare tires under the bed. And going back to how her truck was set up, I mean, where it stopped, there wasn't enough room to drop the spare tire. We had to jack it up just to get clearance to drop the spare tire and drag it out. And then once you jack it up, then you got to put the jack handle in there to crank it down. And that was a giant cluster mess.
We took off from where we were stopped, and Matt and Kevin both take off, and Matt's going one way, and then Kevin peels off, and I hear someone say like, "Oh, we got to go the way that Kevin's going," and I'm like, "That doesn't look right," but oh well. And so I started going that way. So then everybody started going that way.
So you were given
we almost got lost.
So you were given the choice to follow Matt, your brother-in-law, who's done this trip a half a dozen times.
He started going that way too.
Or Kevin. Oh, did he? I was going to say. Because at one point,
like, okay, I guess, whatever. I'm down for an adventure.
Because at one point there was a conversation on the radio about which one of us was more creepy about our being enamored with Kevin. Was it you or me? No one could figure out which one of us was more on the borderline of #MeToo with Kevin.
Right. So we started going. I don't know. We hooked a right around that because right before you get to the lake bed, there's that mountain range kind of ends.
Yes.
We started hooking a right around that. I was like, this isn't right. So we ended up scrambling through the brushes and stuff and getting back on the trail. But then we got to Traveler's Monument and we're hanging out there. And then that's when Matt was like, hey, they're going to be a while. Let's get to the tree line so we can find some shade. Because when we were like at the Traveler's Monument, my truck said it was 118.
Oh yeah, it was hot as shit, and we were changing a tire in that.
Oh God! So we took off to try to get that tree line campground, and it was taken already.
Yeah, it was already.
I want to camp there one time. One of these days, we're gonna get it.
Yeah. There's what he's talking about is where we go camp at Razor Road, just a quarter mile away from where we usually camp. There's these series of trees, like almost willow trees that have these canopies that you can pull your car in and park under the trees, but it was already taken. Part of me was bummed, like, crap, the group is split up and that sucks. But then part of me was always like, well, we don't need 30 vehicles here to try to change out this tire and have everybody sit here and wait for this. Right. I'm kind of glad that it got split up. And so once that happened, once we changed the tire, basically I was like, all right, we will see them at camp. We all know where camp is and we're not going to worry about it. Got the tire changed, went to Traveler's Monument. We did not spend very much time at Traveler's Monument, to be honest, because to your point, it was hot and we'd already lost an hour with changing tires. And then went to camp, unloaded, and there was a mixture of some people unloading, some people deciding to stay there, some people that were already at the punch bowl. There were a couple people that didn't even go all the way to camp. After Traveler's Monument, they had decided, you know what, we're going to veer off, because as you go from Traveler's Monument towards camp, there's an option to I take it back. We didn't go right to camp from Traveler's Monument. As you're going from Traveler's Monument towards camp, you can veer off to the right and go to Razor Road. There's the Shell station there. So we decided, because it was early enough, to go to the Shell station first to get ice and some other stuff before going to camp. So we did that, and there were a couple people that you're literally on the 15 freeway at that point. And there were a couple people that went, you know what? I'm out. Like, it's been 2 nights. I don't need to camp one more night. They jumped on the freeway and took off. we got more ice and everything, then went back to camp, met up with you guys, and then a bunch of us went back over to the Punch Bowl. And when I got to the Punch Bowl,
you kind of skipped over some stuff there.
What?
Didn't something happen from the Travelers Monument to the Shell Station or something like that? Because I got to the Shell, we got to camp, we set up camp, decided we needed ice and stuff. We went to the Shell Station, and then that's when Chris called me and said that he just had the best time of his entire life.
I don't think I mean, I can't remember anything. I mean, let's see. Let me go back. Travelers Monument, store, camp. I mean, what else could have happened in between that period of time? I don't recall.
I could have sworn there was something that happened, some sort of event, some sort of life-changing event for somebody that
no.
Somebody brought their cape or something like that.
So
where's let me check the chat room.
You're a dick. See, even Mark in the chat room said nothing happened. Absolutely nothing. I don't know what you're talking about. So we left Travelers.
There he is.
We left Travelers Monument, and Mark, sorry, Mark, you know, nothing's sacred. We left Travelers Monument, and we had made the decision to go to the store. And Tammy was driving at that point, and I was on the radio kind of navigating, and we got to a point where I was like, oh shit, we need to be that trail on the right. And we had stayed on the left because we had the map that I had marked out was the trail to the left that went straight to camp. And then I realized, oh shit, we got to go to the store. We got to go back. So we had gone through, did you guys go through that little gate area and the soft sand stuff?
No, we went around that for some reason. I was like, why are we not going just straight there? We did like
you can shoot straight through this gate. So we get through this gate, and that's when I was like, oh shit, babe, we got to go around. You got to make a U-turn and get around. So
a U-turn.
Yes, but Tammy was driving, so it's not my fault. It's so we get in. I get on the radio. I'm like, we got to turn around. So we make that U-turn around, and we picked a horrible spot to do it. Absolutely horrible spot to do it, and I wasn't thinking. And so Mark was right behind, and he went to make that U-turn, and not enough momentum on like an incline, making a U-turn at the same time. And he buried the Super Duty, like in this really soft sand. He buried it, and I was like, "Oh shit!" And of course, some jackass in a Silverado was like, "I'll go, I'll pull you out." No, that's not happening. I'm not going to let that happen. I will not let that happen to my Ford buddy. So we back up, and oh, Mark is throwing Tammy under the bus right now. He said that it's Tammy's fault because she stopped. We back up. And Corey pulls out his recovery gear, which he said he's never had to use before. And we hook up to Mark. We hook Mark up to the Ford. And I think Tammy gave it a shot. But like she's never pulled anybody out before. So it was kind of like, I said, I'll do it. So I get in, I back up, I get some momentum, and I go to take off. Boom, the Ranger just drops to the frame rails. And I'm like,
the Super Duty is like 6 times the weight of the Ranger.
Yeah, but he didn't look that. So here's where I made the mistake. If you looked at it from the front, he didn't look that stuck. I was like, okay, it just looked like his tire. It wasn't until later when I got to the back and found that you couldn't see his back tire anymore. It was gone. He had buried the entire back tire, and we had buried the entire back tire of our truck. So Chris decided to jump in with his Chevy, and he pulled me out, but Mark and I dug out the tires and put some Max Tracks under there, and I really think the Max Tracks did most of the work. I don't think Chris really did anything. Now that I think about it, there was enough slack on the strap. Oh, okay. He was just there for just in cases, and so he got me out, and then we went and pulled Mark out. he went and pulled, and then we put Max Tracks on Mark's truck, and Mark was able to back out on his own power without any help from a Chevy Silverado at all. And then got onto flatter ground. and then
that's how I heard it.
Well, I mean, fish stories, right? I mean, he's going to tell you what he wants you to hear. Right. But a Silverado's not a viable platform for an vehicle. So then once we got back through the gate, we crossed over and then went to the store and loaded up on Mark says that the dash cam in the Ford shows the Ranger moving prior to the Chevy even do anything. So I've got documented proof.
Hey, we got to see it. You got to post it, Mark.
Yes, Mark.
You got to post it,
we
Mark.
need that video. Oh, we'll talk about Mark's posting videos.
We need evidence.
So then, but we got to the store, we got to camp, we quickly unloaded, and went over to the punch bowl. And by the time we got to the punch bowl, Kevin Jones was already frame deep in the sand. What happened? Were you there when that happened?
Yeah, because we were Joey and his buddy had already gone to the punch bowl, played around, came back, then went with us to the store. And then I was at the store and I was trying to call you and I tried calling Chris, and that's when Chris answered. He's like, dude, today was the best day of my entire life. I just pulled out 2 Fords. I was like, what do you mean? It's a dirt road. Like, how did you guys, I don't understand that. And so then we get back to camp and we're just kind of waiting on everybody to go. Matt takes off. I take off right behind him. Kevin Jones, I think I posted a video of it. You just hear that turbo spool up and he just goes barreling past me, dude. He was a madman in those dunes, but he dropped in. He was trying to do it in 2-wheel drive. And he doesn't have a locker in the rear or nothing like that. He just has a mechanical in the front. But, so he was out there playing around. He slowed down at the bottom in 2-wheel drive, and then he just buried it.
Yeah, and so Joey and everybody was working on getting him out. And then we all, like, the punch.
Mostly just Joey.
Yeah, the punch bowl. It's, basically picture a sand half pipe for 300 yards long. When it's all like from end to end, there's plenty of room for everybody to line up on one side of the sand dune, and you drop in and go up the other side and go up and down a couple times and then come back out. Mm-hmm. And several people had done it. Matt, Joey, you, Kevin, Dave, a bunch of people had done it. Susan went in there, and it's like your reward. Like, you made it to the end, and then here's your little reward to go play. Yeah, it's totally that little playground area. It's fun as hell. And so I had done it a couple times by myself. I took you and Chris, and then I took Presley, and Presley loved it. I put her in the front seat, and Presley and Johnny, and she had a blast in the punch bowl. She enjoyed the shit out of it. And then if you guys recall, Mark, duty driven Mark, had committed to taking the super duty in the punch bowl, mm-hmm. which
early on, before we even did the trip, before the trip even started, he said, I'm hitting the punch bowl
2 weeks ago. And I feel like that's going to be one of those decisions that could come up at his during his vows, and his bride to be maybe questioning some of these decisions. So he's like, yeah,
she had a great time.
She always has a great time. So he's like, I want to do this, but I want someone to go with me. And I was like, sure, I'll go. So I jump in, and a couple things. The super, like, I haven't driven a full size in a while. It's been a while since I've, my work truck, and I got in and sat in that truck, and I was like, damn, this is roomy. Damn, this is comfortable. Yeah. My truck is super comfortable, but I forget what it's like to have that much space to put stuff. And they've got it all dialed in. It's super nice in their truck. So Abby gets in the back. I'm sitting in the front. And I'm like, okay, just a little bit of coaching. Like, okay, when you drop in, you want to take a little bit of an angle. You don't want to hit the bottom perpendicular, and then you go up. And when you start to feel yourself bogged down, you make a turn, blah blah blah. So he goes in, he does it once. He's like, oh yeah, okay, great. And then he goes in, and
as soon as you guys took off, though, we were screaming and yelling because his tailgate was open.
That's right. His tailgate was open. So we get back to the top. You guys close the tailgate, and he's like, I want to do it again. And so, great. We go in, but instead of going up the other side of the punch bowl and turning right, he went up and turned left. And that side of the punch bowl is a little bit steeper at the top. So as he comes down, and there is video evidence of this. Go to @DutyDriven on Instagram, and you will see this, and it's freaking hilarious. So as he comes down, I'm telling him, use this momentum to get up the other side, And as he's coming up the other side, I'm like, okay, you're going to want to go left because my expectation is he was going to go left, make that bank, and come back down the other side. I'm like, okay, you're going to want to go left. He completely ignores me, and he goes straight up the other side. And on that, right where he was at, there was this little bump in the sand right before the top of the sand dune, and he hits it, and it goes dunk. And then you can see my fat ass just lift up off the seat. And I'm like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. Boom. And we come down. And he full on launched that duty driven out of the punch bowl. And it was graceful as hell. As big as that truck is, it was super. He could have done it 6 more times if he was by himself.
I wish he would have.
It was awesome. And we were like, nobody saw it. Are you kidding me? Nobody was paying attention, and then he posted it on Instagram because he had the outward facing and inward facing dash cams, and it's a bitchin' video. Go check it out. Duty driven on Instagram,
and good audio too.
Yeah, good. It was great. Matter of fact, I need to find out what camera he's using so that we can.
I want one of those.
Yeah, that is a sweet setup. And then everybody else just kind of went in and played. It was, jump in the punch bowl, play for a little bit, come out. Another kudos to Mr. Jones. So on the Ford, you put it in 4-wheel drive. You can take traction control off. And then in the punch bowl, and it only happens in sand. Even when I'm trying to turn in 4-wheel drive at high speed, you can hear the system ratcheting, like it's trying to get traction, even though you've got traction control off. And I'm like, and it almost bogs you down when you're making those turns. And I asked Kevin about it, and he's like, yep, here it is. And so you turn traction control off. Once it says it's off, then you press and hold the traction control button for like 5 seconds, and then it'll say advanced track off. And so that turns off all of the computerized traction control stuff. And I took it back into the punch bowl afterwards, and it made a huge difference. I'm
gonna have to try that.
Yeah, that's the Ford. I don't know what it's like on the Nissan, but it made a big difference.
Because I can turn mine off, but if I get crazy enough, I'll still have like the traction thing kind of come back on next to where it says that it's off.
Yeah. So that's a pro tip from Kevin Jones. Is turn off the advanced track too after you turn off the traction control.
Because I think the first time I dropped in, I forgot to turn the freaking, because you have to do it every time you start the car. If you turn the car off, start the car. I dropped in. As soon as we hit the bottom and I tried to go up and hit the bank, it just completely cut me off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The Ford was doing the same thing. So we all played in the punch bowl for a little bit, went back to camp, and hung out, and that night was mellow. Sunday night was a mellow night for us. I
crashed early.
I think the heat, I don't remember it being this hot over the last couple of years, but it was super hot this time.
This was the hottest so far.
Yeah. And I think the heat and the, having so many vehicles, and kind of like when there's only 10, 12 vehicles, we stop twice as much, take twice as many breaks. It's a little bit easier I just felt like it was, from the time we left camp, it was like a constant trying to make sure everybody was still moving and we didn't lose anybody and everybody was having a good time. I was beat. I was absolutely, by Sunday night, I was absolutely exhausted. And Tammy, Presley, and I all went to bed pretty early.
I was falling asleep at the campfire.
You were.
Like, I'm done.
You were. It was funny. We were going to leave you there, but they.
I know. That's why I was like, I better get up because something terrible is going to happen.
Absolutely, something terrible was going to happen. Went to bed Sunday night. Woke up fairly early on Monday because it was already hot by the time we woke up. As soon as that sun came up, man, it was hot. Everybody packed up. What else? Something else happened on Sunday. Something happened that I got all frustrated on Sunday. What was it? I don't remember. Oh, but I will tell you that I need a new barbecue now, and I need a new ice chest because of evil Katami driving down the Kessel Run was bombing so hard. She launched my little barbecue, propane barbecue is grenaded. It's gone. The hijack lift came back down on top of one of the ice chests and broke the top of the ice chest. She was hitting it hard. I was super proud of her. She did a great job. But we got everything loaded up Monday and headed out. It's in groups. Some people left super early. Everybody kind of took, we'd go out 3-4 people at a time. You were one of the last ones there, right? At camp?
Yeah. Jose, the first one to leave. And then I want to say maybe Chris was left after him. And then that's when it was Jose and then Matt. And then Chris left right after Matt. And I think you and Jose's boss and Corey and a couple of people left. And then when I left, it was just Adam and his buddy still there and the other gladiator. But we got out of there I think it was 8:05.
Yeah, it was early.
We pulled out.
I wanted to be out of there early to begin with because we were coming from Barstow down. I wanted to be out in front of any traffic on the 15.
So did I, but I that was earlier than I thought we would have gotten out of there.
It was too damn hot to. I didn't want to make breakfast, or I just wanted to get out. So we took the trail to the gas station again. I had already filled up. I don't think I needed to fill up. I had to borrow Jose's boss's air compressor because mine broke, and the one I was going to get didn't show up in time. And then you had to use
mine too.
Yeah, your compressor blew up, and Mark had to save you.
Well, it didn't blow up. It just it did one tire and then it wouldn't turn on again. And I haven't had time to investigate it. It could be something stupid, but luckily Mark was still there, and I was like, hey, I still have 7 more tires to air up. Once you fire that compressor back up,
I got 7 tires.
I need to either fix mine and get Susan a new one, or I need to get us each a new compressor. Probably, I think I want to get 2 of those Ironman ones.
Yeah, that's my next purchase is one of those Ironman compressors.
But I want an air tank and the whole thing. So
yeah, Shai said he was home by 11 o'clock in Orange County. So yeah, once we got aired up and took off, it was a pretty uneventful trip on the way home until we got to the 15-215 split. Because I had punched it into my my GPS, my Waze to head home, and we get close to the 15-215 split, and Tammy reminded me I had to go to Redlands to pick up the damn dogs. And I'm like, oh, damn it, that is the opposite direction. That's the exact opposite direction of where I want to go right now. So we had to go out to Redlands to pick up the dogs, and then from Redlands come home. We still got home at a decent time. I ended up having enough energy to get most of the stuff unloaded and started to go through it. I cleaned a bunch of stuff and got ready, but the thing that really hit me this trip was the amount of shit I have and the way it's situated. And I'm over it. We've given Overlanders a bunch of shit, and we joke around about roof racks and about. But you know what? When you're doing something like that and you've got to set up and break down and set up and break down and set up and break down, it is amazing how much more efficient some of these guys are that have their racks all dialed in. How much easier? Mm-hmm. Every time I loaded the truck, I had to load it a different way and try to strap it down to make sure shit didn't fly anywhere because nothing was secured, and I'm just over it. I'm over it. I need to reconfigure all of my camping stuff, what I'm going to take from now on, minimize it. And Mark says I'm finally going full size.
I see that.
I'm going to try to go the opposite direction, Mark. Rather than trying to get a truck bigger to fit more shit, I'm just going to try to do it with less shit and more a better plan.
See, I think I brought less shit than you did. And I still feel like I brought a lot of shit.
Yeah, it was the refrigerator thing. So I was going to have a refrigerator for this. You what? Hold on, you broke up.
Vehicles.
So hold on.
A ton of shit.
Say that again. Did you say you had you brought 2 vehicles?
2 vehicles. Yeah, we still had a lot of shit in my truck.
Yeah,
and Susan's Jeep.
Yeah, I feel like I brought more stuff than I needed, which is always the case. But things like, the hijack lift, in hindsight, I'm glad that we had it, but somebody else may have had one, or we could have just dug deeper and put the bottle jack underneath there. I'm getting a refrigerator. I was going to have one for this trip. It just didn't work out. I'm really considering, and we've talked about it, I don't know, 112 times on the show. I'm really considering a camper shell again. I think a camper shell.
What about one of those soft camper shells?
No, it's I too many years in Jeeps with soft tops. That's just a shit show. That doesn't last long. Those zippers go bad. The windows get funky. Like it's not weather tight. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm going to do a full, a camper shell, a bed cap.
Okay. Here's the thing. You're going to put a camper shell on it and you're going to go, look at how much more room I have for shit.
Yeah, agreed.
And then you're just going to pack it to the top of that camper shell.
Agreed. But here's this was the frustration I had on Monday trying to load up. So because I don't have anything to cover all my stuff in the back of the truck. Our duffel bags, our pillows, our blankets, like anything we didn't want to get dusty was in the cab of the truck, and it was freaking everywhere. It had bounced around, shit had fallen out of bags. There was food on the floor. Like if it was all in the, I don't care if it's stacked to the top and the back. I want room in my truck. I want to be able to feel like not claustrophobic. And Shai brought up the decked system.
Yeah,
Shai, I had a decked system in the Tacoma, and I loved it. The decked system is amazing. It is a great kit. Here's what the problem was. The decked system by itself is a couple 100 pounds. And then I put a couple 100 pounds in each drawer. And I was driving it like that everywhere I went. So I had 600 pounds of shit everywhere I went all the time. And I don't want to do that. If I were to do that with the decked system, then I would have to unload and load every time we did something. And then the decked system, it basically takes away half of the depth of your truck bed. So then you find yourself in a position
because the structure of the deck system takes up a bunch of space.
Yeah. So now
usable space.
So now the totes and the other stuff that go in when you're going camping, instead of sitting down in the bed, it's now sitting higher, and you have to strap it every time. You can't just put it in and know that it's not going to bounce a full 12 inches to get out of the truck. It's literally 4 inches above the rate. Well, I think that the Ranger bed is deeper than the Tacoma was, but on the Tacoma, I felt like one bump and there was only like a 4-inch lip around the deck and everything was going to fly out. So I'm not sure that was the right thing to do. And Jose's boss does make a good point. She said, all of those things that you just mentioned were in mine and Jose's truck, because I did pawn off my duffel bag, Tammy's duffel bag, and Presley's duffel bag into Jose's boss's truck. But her shitty truck bed cover didn't keep the dust out, and she dumped her gas.
Neither did mine.
She dumped her gas can all over my clothes, so I had to get an extra. Mojave Trail shirt out of the box out of Jose's car, so I had something to wear on the way home.
That's where Billy's shirt went.
Yes, Billy's shirt is. I'm wearing it. So I'm thinking whether it be a rack that I can secure things to, things like my chairs, my cots, and my Gazelle. Now they're all the same type of metal frame collapsible component, right? They all do the same thing. If I had a rack where I could lay the Gazelle and the cots and the chairs up on that rack and strap it down, that would eliminate 50% of the shit in the back of my truck. Right. So, and once they're strapped down, they're not going to go anywhere. So I think that's, I got to do something. I'm going to invest in a fridge. I got to come up with a better plan to make it just more efficient to do more stuff like this.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've slimmed down quite a bit. Like I tried to.
No, you haven't. Have you seen you?
I tried to if my bed cover doesn't close, then I have too much shit. You know what I mean? Like I like that because I feel like that's my limiting factor.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be able to close the bed cover, otherwise I'm bringing weight, like the bedding, the pillows, blankets, sleeping bags, all that kind of stuff, plus a cooler. We brought 2 freaking coolers.
Yeah, so do we.
So I definitely need to get a fridge.
We brought 3,
and I want to figure out a different cooking system. I was like, we had this conversation before. I was jealous of the jet boil and dehydrated food system that Chris had, because they didn't use any dishes other than like forks or spoons. I had dirty dishes I had to do when I got home. Like the cleaning that scuttle is kind of a pain. Like that was just super simple, and they were done in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
5 minutes, and they were both eating whatever it was. They didn't have to eat the same thing if they didn't want to. They could each make their own whatever. So that's something I want to at least try once to see if that's a good option.
Yeah, you know what? I talked about the barbecue was grenaded. I don't know that I'm going to actually buy a barbecue, because I think what I might for like $19 on Amazon. They have a griddle that will sit on your 2-burner Coleman propane stove.
Yeah.
And I really think that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to only take that stove from now on, because that stove by itself, we've got a pot and a pan that we can make things in. If I had that griddle, I could cook burgers, hot dogs, bacon, chicken, anything that you would normally cook on a barbecue, just without the open flame. You know what? I don't care about the open flame. I think I'm just going to get the griddle that sits on that stove, and that's going to be my cooking system. And if I can't make it on that, I just don't eat it.
Right. They're on sale at Big 5 right now. I just got the email.
Oh. Yeah, it's I think
I was looking at that too, like just a 2-burner stove with a griddle. I think that'll work.
And I already have the 2-burner stove. The barbecue that got grenaded, Tammy and I were talking about it. I think I spent $30 on it probably 15 years ago. And I mean, it has made its way through the Mojave multiple times, multiple Big Bear trips, multiple camping trips. I got my money's worth out of it. I think if I do the griddle on the 2-burner stove.
I didn't know you.
What?
It's like a charcoal barbecue or a propane
it's a propane one. It's just the little square propane
one. Oh, okay.
One.
Yeah. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know what it is now.
So I
thought you meant like a charcoal barbecue. I was like, I had no idea you brought that.
No, dude. I can't charcoal barbecue at my own house in my own backyard. I'm not going to try to do it in the desert. Ask Matt. I ruin everything. I ruin everything I barbecue. So yeah, I think the griddle on the 2-burner stove is going to be, for now, all I'm going to do until I come up with a better plan. But the organization system, whether it be a roof rack or a bed rack or a camper shell, something has to change in my storage and organization, because I can't. It was too much of a pain in the ass. And the more I think,
even like a good bin, because I had a bunch of our stuff in like a plastic bin under the bed cover, and dust was getting under the bed cover, and the lid was coming off of the bin. So dust was getting all over like our plates and all of our kitchen stuff,
Yeah. Yeah. And we've had this conversation, and Matt and I have talked about, well, I don't know, camper shell that turns the truck into an SUV and you can't really do work stuff out of it. Well, you know what? The number of times I've had to load the back of that truck with large items that would have taken the whole bed versus the number of times I have gone camping or off-roading and wished I had a camper shell is exponentially different. Like I would have more use out of the bed of that truck with a camper shell or bed rack than I would without it. And I've just kind of come to that realization that it's not a work truck. I don't do work out of it anymore. If I ever needed to, I could take the camper shell off, but I need to get this thing geared up for adventure. And that's 90% of the reason I have that is for adventure. And, I really need to figure that out and, find out what my next step is, but it's, I don't know if the camper shell is the right thing or if it's the bed rack, if anybody's got opinions on those. Like, Sexy Dave had the camper shell on the ZR2, and I loved that thing. That thing always seemed dialed in on the ZR2. And then when he went to the Gladiator, he went with a bed rack versus the camper shell. And I haven't talked to him about it, but I'm wondering which one he prefers now.
Well, the camper shell, it doesn't work for me with hauling Zen's bike around stuff. Like, I'm not worried about that. I can't put a refrigerator back there or help with their couch. Like, that's just all to help you move your couch. Yeah. I have a bed cover, or I have a camper shell, but I would hate to have to try to take that thing off all the time to take Zen's bike down.
But for as many times as you do that, could you not just use a trailer hitch mount for his bike? Could you not just do a horizontal trailer mount for the bike?
Oh. Yeah, I built one. I built one for the ZJ. Thought about doing that, and I thought, like, it's like, man, I bet that guy wishes he had a truck. With a hitch carrier. It's like, that just seems silly to me to have a truck and then put the bike on the hitch.
I don't know. It means that
even though I'm only going an hour from the house.
I was just going to say, again, go back to the conversation about the amount of times you use it to haul a bike versus the amount of times you're doing the camping. And if you've got the bike on the trailer hitch and the camper shell, you can still get more gear in the back of the truck and keep it safe and secure and out of weather, and still get the bike to where you got to go.
Yeah.
I think I just sold myself on a camper shell.
I don't know. I might like I think I might like a rack more than a camper shell, but I feel like if I got a rack, then I would be like, well, I have the rack. I might as well put a rooftop tent on it.
Well, the rack,
much like a rooftop tent, I don't want a rooftop tent.
Yeah. The rack allows you to put more shit on the bed. You can.
I lost you.
The rack allows you to put more shit on the bed, but it does not provide any weather or dust protection. It's not. It's just going to get just as dirty back there, and I don't know if I'm going to do that. If I'm going to put the added weight on the back of the truck and have the something back there, I'd rather have it weather tight.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. Well, at the end of the day, I don't have I don't have enough money to buy any of that stuff, so it doesn't really matter at this point.
One thing is that we need to work on getting everybody needs to work on having some sort of chase light.
Yes.
Even if it's one or two, just little $20 Amazon Amber pods out the back, because even we're telling everybody, turn your headlights on, turn your tail lights on, and you still don't see it in the sun.
Yeah.
Every time someone else is in front of me, I'd say, turn your headlights on. They say they're on, but you couldn't tell.
Yeah, I tried to buy a couple of those magnetic safety lights right before the trip, but
something.
Yeah, I couldn't get them on. I couldn't get them in time. But if I had a camper shell, I could mount them to the back of the camper shell.
Right. I've even seen on Amazon they have little, maybe it's two little 6-inch amber, light bars, and they're actually rechargeable. You don't even have to wire it up.
Yeah. I was looking at those, and they're magnetic.
Put them on. Yeah. But it's just there's some really dusty parts that gets dangerous out there. And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was, can we do this trip in March?
Why? Because of the heat?
Yes. Screw that. I'm a mountain person, man. We were dying.
Well, air conditioning, bro. That's what air conditioning is for.
Yeah, but there's no air conditioning outside of my truck.
It's true. Yeah, no, I mean,
unless it's March.
Yeah, we could. There's nothing we've just traditionally done it on Memorial Day because of the extra day, the third day. But
yeah, I will take a day off any other time. I don't have no problem with that.
It's not unreasonable to do. I don't think. Again, it's always been Memorial Day. It's just been a tradition, but I have no problem moving.
I know it's convenient. Yeah.
Yeah. I have no problem. And, thinking back to when we started doing this trip, it was like I had a finite amount of vacation days and I was trying to figure out how many trips I could get in those vacation days plus the holidays, you know what I mean? But yeah, I think it's possible to move it. I don't know. I wonder what that trip would be like in March or April. Still spring. I want still potential for rain. I don't know what the temperature's like up there, but we could look at possibly moving it up. There you go. Shai says President's Day. That's in February.
See, I feel like January and February are still going to be pretty cold.
It's going to be cold, yeah. And for as much as we didn't like the heat, we will lose people because of the cold as well.
Right, but I think like March, maybe even late March might be like the ideal time where it's warm and it'll be nicer during the day, but it may be a little bit chillier at night.
Here's what I'll do. I will create a spreadsheet of the average highs and lows over the last 10 years in the area, broken out by precipitation possibilities, and then we'll make a decision as to which season creates the best opportunity for enjoyment.
Okay. I like it. Send it to Matt.
Yeah. All right. All right, dude. Well, I appreciate you coming out of the bullpen and
absolutely
and hanging out. Wanted to at least get some of the recap of the Mojave Trail. I'm sure Matt and Jose will have some input next week when they're back on the show. Assuming they're going to come back, I don't know. I think that they may have decided not to. We had a couple people saying that we should do it for Halloween and Thanksgiving, which we kind of. I mean, the Kessel Run was in October, so I don't know. We have to rethink our trip plans. But thanks for coming on and hanging out. I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll have some more conversation about this next week. I know Jose got to use one of the Ironman swag tents this weekend, and he was excited to talk about it next week. And for everybody that joined us on the Mojave, it was an amazing group. Thank you so much. Like I said, you get 27 vehicles and 65 people pulled together. It is amazing how well everybody got along and everybody helped each other out, and we were all there having a good time. And you look at our group, all walks of life, all, different types of vehicles, different, just like, it's like, it's not this homogenous group of people. It's a bunch of different people all out in the desert, just having a good time with each other and hanging out and sharing stories. And it was amazing. It was fantastic. Oh, Shai, you know what? Shai's asking about voicemail. I don't know. I do think we had a couple voicemails. I'll save that for next week when Matt and Jose are on the show. I just wanted to get at least some of this conversation out. So everybody that joined us, thank you.
This was like the most breaks that we had too.
Yeah,
as far as the tires. And
yeah. Definitely the most vehicle repair type stuff that we've ever had to do on this trip. But again, when you have 65, when you have 27 vehicles, it's that much more chance for something to go wrong. I think we're going to continue running into this. And Nicole said Jose's boss said she had a blast and everyone was amazing and made her first trip a great experience. I'm really glad that she did. I hope she joins us on more. We've talked about it before. Every time we do one of these trips, it's like, okay, we're going to open it to 20 people or 30 people or whatever. It's to the point now where it's going to be nearly impossible to limit the amount of people on some of these trips. And I don't know what we're going to do.
We're going to have 62 rigs next time.
No, I can't, dude. I was flipping exhausted. I was absolutely, and it doesn't seem like much, but like the constant, the like making not panic, but just like, you've got 27 vehicles behind you. You want to make sure, God damn it, I was not going to do a U-turn. I was not going to I was worried. I was worried about making U-turns, but what
was the official count?
I don't think that there was an official count. I think the one U-turn out at the by the Travelers Monument, that was Tammy. She was driving, not me. But I told her where to go, so it's technically my fault. Just making sure everybody was good, but fortunately everybody was self-sufficient and had a good time. And I don't know what we're going to do next year, or, I made a joke about, well, we're going to have to do Mojave twice, twice a year and break it up into 2 groups. I don't know. Susan is saying there's three U-turns, and I'm going to audit. I don't believe that. I want to see someone's GPS tracking, because I don't think that was the case.
Okay. All right.
We'll see. But everybody in the chat room and everybody that joined us on the trip, man, thank you so much. It was a blast, and I am definitely looking forward to the next one. I don't know where the next trip's going to be. It's every year we talk about a summer trip, for like 4th of July weekend or something, but we've never really been able to pull it off. Maybe Labor Day, but I mean, Labor Day's September. It's hot as balls, man. I mean, even in the mountains, it's hot up there.
You got to go north or something.
We did talk about meeting up with the Wheeling Wine and Whiskey guys sometime later in the year. But yeah, definitely want to do more of these trips. And I'm really enjoying designing the shirts for each one of these trips and the stickers, and kind of making it different so you can, have a custom, shirt and commemorative sticker for each one of these events. So, all right, guys, it's going to be time. I'm beat. I'm tired. It's only Monday. I got a long week ahead of me, and what we'll do is next week we'll get Matt and Jose's input. I'm sure they'll hear this show next week, and then we'll get their input and then go from there. Again, Casey, thank you for stepping in and taking a spot, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, have a great night, and we will talk to you next week.
Good night.
All right, dude. We got Adam, Susan, Mark, Jose's boss, 2A Overland, Shy, Perry, Jeremy. Okay, we got a good group. We got a good group in there.
Yeah.
We had quite a bit of people tonight. Probably all waiting to hear about the shit show.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much everybody that was on the trip, and then a couple other people,
and then some of the people that don't live in Southern California that wanted to go on the trip and couldn't.
We're bummed or whatever.
Yeah, seriously, it was a great trip. It was epic, and loved it. And I can't wait to do another one. And we will we'll let you know when that is. I think. Casey, I think we're all going to have to get together and figure out what our plan is for some of these trips coming up, looking at time and what happens.
Yeah, I got somebody with a Duramax in my ear that is chomping at the bit for like a stage 2 icon that wants to have an install party.
It's not a viable option for an off-road vehicle. And
well, we're looking into relocating that DEF tank as well.
Yeah, it's not a viable option for an off-road vehicle, and he'll lose interest down the road. He won't continue. No.
Well, hopefully we'll have 2 trucks with 2 kits that need to go on them here pretty soon.
Who's the second one? Oh, somebody. Okay. Somebody. All right, everybody. Look, I'm gonna end it here. We're gonna end the live feed, and we will catch up with you guys next week. And Casey, again, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later, man.
All right, brother.
All right.
Love you.
Love you too.
See you later.